Okay, bye. Okay, John, so let's get back to the conversation on what does it take to actually set it up for you to start writing your book? Is it weeks, months, years? What does it take?
It all depends. Once you have an idea as to what the subject matter you want to write about, you can sit down and really create an outline. My very first book, I was able to write the first draft in 1 week. But that's been like 23 years of personal development. And, you know, when I decided I was going to write it, everything was just flowing. And it was like a dam that just burst wide open and thoughts were flowing. I was going to my book library and just pulling books with the exact quote already highlighted to insert into that page or that paragraph. So, you know, it's a mindset. You got to have the mindset that, yes, you're going to write it and commit to it. And it flows. It flows. That's what I found out about writing. It just flows.
Well, you know, I've heard this expression. I have made some attempts at sometimes to write lyrics for songs. And I get this brain freeze, man. I'll be right in the middle of something, I mean, and sometimes I'll just take little pieces of sentences and verses and rhymes and so forth. And then over a period of maybe 6 months, I may come up with that concept of that song and so forth. So do you ever have those times they call writer's
block?
Writer's block. I said brain freeze, but the correct term, politically correct, is
writer's block.
Writer's block.
Absolutely. We're human beings and we're subject to make mistakes, and things happen in our lives, and yes, we do have writer's block. I've been there, but what I do is that, you know, I take some time away. Maybe I go to the beach, you know, maybe I watch the waves roll in, you know, maybe I take a trip to a different state, just get away, you know, and then I come back to it. You know, sometimes we need to replenish the well. You know, so that's what happens with a lot of writers. They go through that writer's block, but you just get back to it, and if you fall off the horse, you get back on the horse, you write again. It's the same thing with writing.
Okay,
right?
Okay. Well, I want to remind the viewers out there that we are live here at the station here, and we want you to call in. The number should be down at the bottom of the screen. I can see, yes, it's been placed there. And so feel free to call in if you happen to be surfing and just happen to see, hey, there's an interesting show. Give us a call. We're talking about, so you want to be an author, you know, and John has written 2 books, 5 Steps to Success, and this other book, I'm going to kind of give you a little peek. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, there we go. Yes. It's called Spread Some Love, Relationships 101. And so John is my guest, and we're just having a great time here. So John, we have already went through some of the steps already. You said, you know, you got to have a passion for it, you know, and sometimes if you get writer's block, you take a break from it, you go to the ocean, and you do meditations and all that kind of thing to get started. But who inspired you to write?
I was thrust right into it, Al. Several years ago, I tried to acquire the rights for a screenplay that I really wanted to remake. I was so passionate about it. I already knew how I wanted to remake this movie. I was so sold on it. And it took me about 3 weeks to find out who held the rights to it. And when I found who had the rights to it, I called the studio. And they said that they weren't willing to give up the rights to any third party. And I was like, I was torn because, you know, you got the rights, you're not doing anything with it. Give it to me so I can remake it so, you know, it would be a good project. And it ticked me off. And so I called a friend of mine. I said, you know what, I got a screenplay I want to write. Can you help me? He said, well, you know, he has a manager, but at least what he can do is send me a template. And he sent me a template. And I started.
Well, hold on for a minute, because I believe we have another caller on the line. And caller, state your name.
Yeah, I got a question. I've got a manuscript, and I took it to Kinko's and I got it put together, but I need to make it look more professional. And I was wondering, what can I do that, and how much would it cost me to do that?
Well, it really depends on who you take it to. If you should, I would say find a good editor who can work with you and help you put it together. Because sometimes a lot of us as writers, we're not always able to do the finishing touches because we're so close to the product that sometimes we need to pass it on to someone else so they can see the errors, they can help us make certain corrections. I would say find an editor who is good and they can really give you some guidelines as to what you do to take the product to the next level.
You got that, caller? All right, thank you for calling. Okay, we're going to continue on this conversation, John. Now, where were we? We was in the conversation of saying that...
we're talking about how I got into writing.
Okay, yeah, how you got into writing.
Yeah, so I decided I was going to write, and I said, you know what, someday they're going to be begging me to sell them my screenplay, and that drove me into writing. And I got into writing. My first screenplay I finished in 29 days, and I showed it to a director friend of mine, and he sent me back an email. He said, "John, you're such a novice. I don't know what you're doing writing. You should give it up. No, it's not for you." And I was torn. For a week, I couldn't touch the keys on my computer. But I went back to it, and about a year later, I showed him one of the scripts I wrote, and he was like, "Gosh, John, this is absolutely phenomenal. Not too many people know how to write action flicks, and this is really, really good." So then I knew I really had the edge, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to write. I'm going to continue writing, because you can't stop me. You can't stop me from doing what I want to do.